You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. Your host star, Wole, Ray, and Mo. The homie Glenn is out. What's good, fellas? It's been a while.
Well, great, man. Great to have the band back together.
I know, right?
Hey, I'm always around, my friend.
I know.
You the one that's MIA.
No, man. I'm glad everybody's back. We started
but
New Year.
But Mo, I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you in a while, Mo.
I actually been wanting to see Mo because Giants. They in the playoffs. They in a playoff game. I've been trying to get your reaction, your vibe.
Tranquilo, brother. We got to finish it this weekend, man. I'm trying to stay constant here, man.
I've been seeing my man on the gram. I see Giants jerseys. I was like, my man feeling good.
Listen, man,
I know it's a Commanders podcast, but I got to give flowers to when the co-host on the show is a Giants fan. I got to give him his flowers.
Man, listen, man. We take care of the business on Saturday. Don't worry. You don't got to come find me.
I know that's right. Hey, let me get to particulars, man. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. I like our All Burgundy and Gold Everything Facebook page. Do not forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Everything YouTube channel. Hit that red subscribe button. Like a bunch of the videos, it is great for the algorithm. So that way, a lot of Washington Commanders fans can check out our podcast on YouTube. All right, man, let's get right down to it. It's the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll talk about the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator search. All right, so yesterday, the Athletics' Ben Standing reported that the Commanders have already interviewed Pat Shurmur for the offensive coordinator job. Shurmur was out of the league this season after spending the previous 2 years as the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. The Commanders are telling potential offensive coordinators that Sam Howell will be the starter next season. Mo, I'm gonna start with you. You were a Giants fan. You had Shurmur in New York. Is Shurmur a good fit for a quarterback like Sam Howell?
When I look at Shurmur, I look at that the first year that Daniel Jones had in New York. I think that it wasn't awful. I think if you ask me, outside of the way that I seen Daniel Jones play this year, even though the stats don't match it, if you just look at the stats, they would say that was his best year of his career. And he came in for Eli in the Tampa Bay game, and he took it on. He just had some fumbling issues, right? Which is not on an offensive coordinator. That's on you handling the football. And if the turnovers were limited in terms of fumbles that season, I think a lot of people would say that was a very productive rookie season. You couple that with how he had Minnesota looking with Case Keenum back in the miracle days with Stephon Diggs when they caught was it when they made that playoff run?
Yeah,
I think right before Kirk got there.
Yeah, they got to the NFC Championship game. You talking about that
right before right? Kirk got there. He was the assistant coach of the year that year. I think Pat Shurmur has a long history of being an offensive coordinator in this league, but I feel like going after somebody like Shurmur is right up Ron's alley. I don't think you need any more has-beens, any more people that have been former head coaches. I think get some new life or some newer kind of life in here to go with these, to kind of match these offenses that these quarterbacks are coming from in these colleges. So I think that's the route he should go. I think we've seen Ron go to people that he's trusted from, and they worked together. Remember, they worked together under Andy Reid's regime in Philly before Ron and them both they separated to go get their head coaching job. So I think he doesn't need a flash pan in the past. He needs to go a new route and get somebody that's a fresh mind. I'm not talking too young. I know a lot of people want these new young coordinators, and I think that's too out of Ron's style because of how conservative he is. But somewhere in the middle where they can relate to these young players, because a lot of these players at the skill position on this team come from these dynamic offenses. You talk about Curtis Samuel in his hybrid role in Ohio State. You're talking about Terry McLaurin coming out of that same offense. You're talking about Antonio Gibson being a former wide receiver in college, being a converted running back, right? You're talking about, even though Brian Robinson went to Alabama, we're not talking about the same smash mouth at Alabama as Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram days, right? We're talking about a wide open offense, and we're talking about Sam Howell being a shotgun quarterback in college. So I think that bringing in a young fresh mind, I don't really have a name because all the candidates seem to be.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that though. We'll get to that because there's a bunch of folks, but we'll get to that. There's a bunch of folks
I feel like a lot of the names that we know: Greg Romick, Jim Caldwell, Frank Wright. Brian. We know Byron Leftwich isn't coming. I think he's going to take that Pittsburgh gig, right? We're talking about the quarterback coach Charles London in Atlanta.
But we'll get to all that. I want to skip ahead, but we'll get to all that. Though. We'll definitely get to all that. But Ray, your thoughts, man. Fit, is that how about the fit with Sherman? Do you think it's a good fit, or you like are you like Mo?
We've kind of had a discussion about this already, and I said I don't want the young quarterback to be in an offense that's overly complicated in his first year as a full-time starter. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking at making sure that you want to simplify things for him and maximize all those weapons. I want to say as a side note, and I said this before, and I don't know if Mo agrees, but this should be, at least, I'm saying it is, but it should be an attractive job offer with all the weapons that Washington has on offense. Brian Robinson, the way he played this season just adds to the allure that this job should look like now that, of course, Scott Turner's gone. So I'm thinking that's why candidates are already jumping at the opportunity to interview because, again, Terry, Curtis Samuel, you also got De'Ami Brown and Dodson. I mean, it looks good. You can do a lot of things with this team. So you want to bring in somebody who's creative, but you do not want to overcomplicate things for this young quarterback.
Yeah, I think that and off of talent alone, you're right. But I do think there's a thing about the lame duck coach. You know what I'm saying? So that's the issue. With he's gonna pick if you're looking for a fresh coordinator, like that coordinator may not want to come here because he doesn't know what's going to happen if Ron is fired. You know what I mean? So that's the dangerous part of trying to get this gig. In terms of Pat Shurmur, at first I was like, I'm not a big fan of Pat Shurmur. But then it was like things that Mo was talking about earlier, certain things that I have heard over the last couple of days that may, as a coordinator, he's solid. Like, not as a head coach is totally different. I kind of have to separate that because it's hard for me to time, because you look at the coach Pat Shurmur, but now you look at the coordinator. The coordinator does have a great track record, a very good track record with young quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, that rookie year was a good rookie year for him. The issue he had was just fumbling the football, but it was a good rookie year. But he was the head coach of that team, but it was a good rookie year for him as the starting, as a quarterback. If you saw Daniel Jones his rookie year, you're going to be like, he showed some promise as a rookie, right? And you saw with Case Keenum, that's his best season. Obviously, at quarterback, that was his best year. That team went to the NFC Championship game. You can make the argument that between him and the guy who got paid the bag, that this team was better with Case Keenum. That team was better with Case Keenum. So, like, looking at what Shurmur has done with quarterbacks, you could say, okay, you got a young quarterback, a guy like Ray said. I think his system isn't going to be as complicated. He's going to do things that tailor to what he can do best. You saw it with other guys. He's done that. So, I mean, it would be okay. Like, would he be my number one? No, he wouldn't be my number one, but it can definitely work. It's just not sexy enough for me because I do kind of want an innovative individual. But I do think that at the same time, if you look at his track record, what Ron wants to do with the football, the conservative style of football. If you look at Minnesota, let's use Minnesota's example with Shurmur, right? Zimmer wanted to, he wanted to lean on his defense, run the football, and makes a couple of wild plays. So that's what he wanted. Ron is very similar to what Zimmer wanted to do. So it can work. It can definitely work. But I will say though, in terms of people coming here though, like people have backed out. Like Bevel, like he backed out. He had an opportunity. Like they asked for an interview, he said no because he would rather stay at Miami. Jim Caldwell, they offered Jim Caldwell. I mean, they want to interview Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell was like, nah, I'm looking for a head coaching gig. But I mean, I don't know how realistic that is. And I like Jim Caldwell, but I don't think how realistic of him getting a job, just the politics and whatnot.
He's been out too long.
Yeah, Frank Wright's looking for head coaching jobs. I don't think he's gonna get one at all. Like there's even a comment on our our All Burgundy and Go Everything last episode, and some dude was like, I think y'all off because Frank Wright looking for a head coaching job. I'm like, he can look all he wants. He can look, don't mean he gonna get it. He may have to like say, you know what, I gotta take a offensive coordinator job because Indy messed up his reputation. I don't think it's all his fault, but Indy kind of messed up his reputation to be a head coach. So he's better suited. He may have to take the L and become an offensive coordinator. It's the same thing that happened to Rex Ryan.
Soon, or he's gonna be a quarterback coach.
Yeah. Like same thing happened to Rex Ryan. Like Rex Ryan, whatever, like that. His last couple years in the league kind of ruined the stench. It's like, all right, he can't. Maybe he's not a head coach. People were asking him to be the defensive coordinator, but he was like, nah. That's why he's doing TV. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, they can want to be head coaches, but it's all about what the league wants you to be, right? The league may be like, nah, we want you to be a coordinator, and you may have to take that 1 year to be a coordinator to get back to being a head coach. So, but in terms of this job, I just think that the ownership situation where Ron Rivera is at as a coach is kind of like dicey for other individuals who may want this job.
Now, I think they named Sam Howell the starter so that it can be clear what this coordinator is going to be working with. Also, Ron has to identify what this team's identity is. Yeah. And like I said, I believe it's a run-first football team, and that's what he wants. Yeah. Scott Turner was not that person with all the 10-step drops, and with having Carson Wentz throw the ball, of course, more than what he probably should have. So I think
Heineke.
Ron is making a smart move by trying to address this now. And then establishing, like I said, a clear identity and a set of goals as he moves forward and wanting his team to score more, compete, and also help out the defense, who at times on the field just too long, as evidenced by especially like the early games. Detroit comes to mind, where they just seemed like they were gassed out.
Yeah, true. But I was to get to what some of the stuff Mo was talking about earlier, though. All right, the Commanders also plan to interview, or they have interviewed Commanders quarterback coach Ken Zampese, Atlanta's Falcons quarterback coach Charles London, and Miami Dolphins quarterback coach Eric Studsville, right? Also, this is dope. Also on the Big Douglas show, the homie Doug, he interviewed NFL reporter Ben Albright, and Ben Albright thinks that KC's offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy will land in Washington. Like, he really believes that he's going to land in Washington. Which, I'm not. To me, you heard me last week. I was like, nah, this is not happening. But according to him, he thinks that that's the move. Like, Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy aren't getting along. He's saying that Bieniemy, he only had a 1-year deal, so they're willing to get him out of there already, which I think is wild. I think it's totally wild. But and also Bieniemy he feels that Bieniemy is not going to get like that head coaching job, which again I think is wild. But it is what it is. So he feels that Eric Bieniemy is in play for Washington. Out of all the people that we've mentioned, including Pat Shurmur, who is more likely for you out of these people to become Washington's new OC? And I'm gonna start with you, Mo.
Who's most likely? Or
most likely out of the people we name, who is most likely for real?
Most likely it's probably going to be Shurmur. If you ask me, most likely it'd be somebody like Shurmur because long history in the league. I believe over 20 years as a coach in the league. He has head coaching experience. We do know that Ron favors that. Jack Del Rio has the same experience. So that'd put like that'd have more great minds in the room essentially, or more people that he can pass responsibilities to. Because I feel like we all know that Ron is juggling a lot with this organization. Yeah. And I think that's why there was a lot of reluctance to let go of Scott Turner. That's why Scott Turner lasted so long. If you ask me who, I think there, because he's going to bring that zone running scheme. He's going to bring which bodes well. He's also innovative enough, and he's played with enough talented wide receivers in the past that match what this roster's strength is. This roster's strength is at the wide receiver position. A lot of his money is locked in at the wide receiver position too, between Terry being the highest paid player on the team, Curtis Samuel's money, and Jahan Dotson being a first round draft pick. Yeah. So I think with the work that he's done with young quarterbacks in the past, and Sam Howell being the way that they're going to go forward until they figure that out long term, I think that that's a good landing spot right there, because it's a good teacher to help Sam adjust and unlearn the Scott Turner ways.
So true.
while having somebody that likes to run the football also, but knows how to use play action and set up certain other things. Like I said earlier, like I saw a lot of good things with Sherman when he was in New York. I just don't think we had the talent. And at the time, and a young quarterback, a young Saquon Barkley, and then
Slade was on the team too, right? Was Slade on
Not
that
that year.
Okay.
Not that year. But that was like the Golden Tate years, the
Golden
Tate
Shepard. Yeah.
So
which is weapons. Those are weapons too. Those are good weapons too. Ray?
I'm a little biased on this one. I'm gonna go Charles London. Here's why. Again, I'm gonna reiterate that this team should be a run-first team based on what we've seen, based on what Coach Rivera appears to want the identity of the team, based on Coach Rivera's past as well. Carolina, you think about his Carolina teams, what they look like. And if you look at this past season in Atlanta, you had Marcus Mariota at quarterback, who has had his documented struggles, of course, and he was throwing for he was throwing, I think he had like a over 60% completion rate, 15 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. This is Marcus Mariota we're talking about. His quarterback rating was almost 90, and they ran the ball so effectively. You also had Desmond Ridder come in. He learned his first game. Second game at Baltimore was the coldest day of the year, by the way. It was like 1 degree in Baltimore day, and he threw for over 200 yards. Some bad penalties impacted his stats because he should have thrown a touchdown that game, but it got called back. But I think with the level of quarterbacks that he helped to elevate to a degree, the Falcons weren't supposed to compete at all. I mean, obviously they faded down the stretch, but as you saw against Washington, Marcus Mariota, why his accuracy was the biggest problem, they competed to where they almost had a chance to win. So I think he would be perfect to work with a young quarterback like Sam Howell. So that's what I'm leaning towards. And I think he just has that knowledge of how to make sure he's getting the best out of the talent that the young quarterback has, as opposed to Sherman, even though y'all have some good examples.
Can I rebuttal?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I rebuttal?
Of course, I'm not surprised.
I think we've overstated Ron's Carolina tenure. I think that we're forgetting one big elephant in the room by the name of Cam Newton, right?
Cam Newton, yeah, that's true.
Right? Like when we talk about their rushing, like he had like 2 pretty good seasons. Ron as a coach had 2 pretty good seasons in Carolina.
Yeah.
Everything else was equal to what he's doing in Washington right now.
8-7. I mean, like
8-7.
7. Like, so
I'm just talking about they're running the football.
No.
They ran the football.
I feel you.
That's all I'm saying.
That's why here's where the quirky thought comes in.
Okay.
I think that they need to get away from running the football for things to change, because I think for the team as it was comprised this year with Heineke at quarterback,
and the offensive line too.
And the offensive line and the deficiencies, running the football was the thing to do for this team. The way that this team is comprised and where the money's at, where the strength is at, and Sam Howell coming in and what he did best in college, I think he should find somebody that would nurture this kid in a sense that they'll, work with them and get them up to speed so that they can pass the ball a little bit more. And I think it'll change the outcome for this team, because your weapons are on the outside. Your best players are on the outside. And Antonio Gibson's best skill set may be the one that's the most unused. It's him catching the ball out the backfield.
So can I ask a question then?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I'm guessing, based on what we're talking about, that the thought process is somebody who's not going to be predictable. Because Scott Turner wanted to throw the football. He wanted to get the ball downfield.
But you got
and somebody who's creative and is a good play caller and can adjust. Yes. That's maybe what he's looking for. And if that's the case, then I'm gonna roll with Shermer. Then I can't say that Charles London has shown that. Yeah, I guess Shermer's the top guy there for real, because I'm thinking about the identity of the team. But you might be right in the sense that, okay, we've shown we can be a running team, but what can we do to make sure we put up more points?
Yeah, I think you do want to. So I do think you want to be a running. Like, he wants to lean on a run, but I think he wants balance. I think he wants real balance. But also, I think, I said before, in a prior show, the issue with Scott Turner was not designing plays that were open. That's not the issue with Scott Turner. The issue with plays is all as a play caller, it's how you script it. It's all about timing. It's about how you kind of have a play that looks like another play. It's about setting a team up. The issue is that he's playing checkers and folks are playing chess. That's the difference. That's the difference of anything. It's not that folks, when people are like, well, this person it's like he was open. It's like, that's not the thing. Like, nah, it's about one, coaching to what your talent says you have, and two, how you set a team up. There's a reason why Kyle Shanahan is so awesome. It's a reason. It's because
the
he'll play
window
off.
dressing is so beautiful.
It's amazing.
The window
It's a
dressing
reason.
is so beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to Scott Turner, there is no window dressing. It is what it is. Like, you see what it is. That's why he's so predictable.
It looks the same every time.
Yeah, it's the same every time. So you want a coordinator who can set you up, you know what I mean, with your talent. So the issue, like Charles London, I don't have an issue with Charles London, right? I think he could work. I'm just really worried about having a younger, just because I'm traumatized with Scott Turner. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a Scott Turner thing. I'm traumatized. Like, having a young dude trying to teach a young quarterback and who hasn't been proven yet in terms of, the years in the league. Sure. That's what scares me. Ain't nothing to do with, like, I agree with you, Ray. Like, what he's done in Atlanta with that team, I think he has done a good job. I'm just traumatized. Go ahead, bro.
So it goes back to what Mo said too. Mo, you said hiring Shermer is basically the Rivera way. He's always going. So how do you shift from that without?
Well, I think Shermer's a little different. I do think Shermer's a little different because he ain't like he ain't a Carolina dude. Like, that's how I look at it, is different. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, at least Shermer,
dude.
Yeah, which is a good tree. Like, this is what I said. At least he's under a good tree. You like that's the thing. If I'm Rivera, I'm looking at the correct tree. Like, Rivera was going under his tree. That's not a correct tree. That's not a good tree. Like, if you're going under the Andy Reid, the true Andy Reid tree, Shermer's solid. Like, because but again, as a head coach, it's totally different. Like, totally different. But as an offensive coordinator, I think it's a thing. For me, ideally, like, I don't think, like, Shermer, to me, like, I agree with everybody. I think, like, the vibe is Shermer. But if you're telling me who I would particularly want, though, it would be Eric Bieniemy. Like, I've always been an Eric. I just don't think Eric Bieniemy is feasible. Like, I don't think it's real. Like, I love what Big Doug's show. I love what Albright had to say, but for me, like, I'm like, dude's a head coach. That's how I look at Eric. That's how I look at Eric Bieniemy. I think, like, he should be a head coach. So if that's an opportunity to get Eric Bieniemy, like, I'm for it. Like, I
don't know if did you see this? I don't know if you saw the snippet that's made its way viral on social media from Travis Kelce's podcast.
With
his brother. With his brother.
Oh, his show. I thought you meant him on the pivot. Show, okay, I thought you said the pivot. Okay, the other one, I know.
On there. I think the issue with Eric Bieniemy, I think this would actually be a good job for Eric Bieniemy because he finally gets to call plays. Travis Kelce borderline revealed that he doesn't call plays.
Well, that's scary.
I think that's the hesitancy with a lot of people making him the head coach. He doesn't actually call the plays.
So Andy Reid still calls
at all. Yeah, like he's in the meetings, like he sets up the game plan with Andy Reid and whatnot, but Andy Reid's calling these plays. And I think that's the big part of it that everybody, we've been getting this information about him for the past 2 or 3 seasons as to him interviewing and whatnot, but like, people are really wary of that. Like, why hasn't Andy Reid relinquished that control to you with all the success that you guys have had? And then you hear people like LaShawn McCoy say this man doesn't know anything, or he doesn't say, or he doesn't project well. Let me say that. But LaShawn McCoy
is like, he's a salty dude. He a hater, though. I'm sorry.
No, he's a hater. He's definitely a hater. But like, you hear people, like, when Travis Kelce said it, I was like,
that's different. He's more stand-up to me.
Yeah, like, you don't hear that from Travis Kelce.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, man.
Yeah.
I think so, because he doesn't interview well either, I heard.
Say what? Yeah, I heard you don't interview well. I heard you don't interview well.
So I think that head coaching thing, I think this would be an excellent opportunity for him to come to a team that has a lot of weapons. He has a young quarterback like they had with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying Sam Howell has the talent as Patrick Mahomes. But if you can come in and you can implement things that Sam Howell likes, and you have this kind of mind, and you worked under Andy Reid, and you know where your protections are at and where you're not protected at, and Kansas City doesn't really run the ball that much more, Did the Commanders?
Yeah.
So like
True.
it can be a fit right here. You know what I mean? It could be a fit for Sam Howell to learn under. And
Yep.
it could probably be something that's closer to his North Carolina experience than what Scott Turner was giving him.
True. So on Twitter, we posed that same question about some of the people out there. Michael Carroza says Bieniemy. He says Bieniemy is a guy that he would definitely want to come here from all the names that are out there. And Kayla Powell, who was on this show before, Kayla said London, Ray's good. Charles London. So
Oh
you know
boy.
what I'm saying?
Well, I think just
Charles London
giving
probably was
somebody opportunity to come
Yeah.
up and see what they can do. Again, it's a shift. It's kind of scary, but if you're Ron and you're Riverboat Ron at that, why
This is
you
true.
got to gamble because
I'm about
this
to
is
say
make
you're
or
gonna
break
get
for him.
fired
This is
behind
it.
it.
This is it.
Oh, this is
You're
it.
gonna get fired behind it, bro.
I do think for real, and I know in a sense, like if you are a minority, like a quarterback coach, a minority quarterback, I think it's a good opportunity to try. Like, right, you take this risk because you're moving. It's a come up. It's an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator, and now an opportunity to like one level up. If you do really well, now your name is up there for a head coaching job. Like this is an opportunity for me, like especially a black quarterback coach to get this opportunity to be offensive coordinator. These are not given easily. You know what I mean? Not at all. But I think that if he wants this job and he interviews well, it's not a risk for him. I think this is a play for him that can help propel his football career, his football coaching
Absolutely.
career.
Absolutely.
Because I even heard like people are talking about Pep Hamilton, which I like Pep Hamilton. That's a good one. And he's a guy that this kid can give him Howard grad. This is a guy that can give him an opportunity again to like get back to that realm of possibly if he does well here again, possibly being a head coach somewhere. You know, it's all about when you're an offensive coordinator, you're one level up, you're one step up from as an offensive coordinator. If you do well, you have a great opportunity to be a head coach more than anything, to be honest with you. Even defensive coordinators, though I think that Miko Ryan would be a hell of a head coach. But I think if you're a good offensive coordinator and you can change, right, an offense that was stagnant last year, that's going to only elevate you in terms of being a head coach. Not like this crap used to hear about Scott Turner, like he could be a head coach when his offenses was like one of the worst offenses you've ever seen assembled. But there's an opportunity, like if you can like change the whole look of this team, and especially being a young dude and a young black dude coming from a quarterback coach, now could be an offensive coordinator. It's a good look. And that's real talk, right? See what I did there, right? Hey, before we end the show, is there anything else anybody wants to add? Because we about to end this thing. Mo, you know what I'm saying? Oh, so you want to talk about your Giants? Hey, Mo, I'm giving you the floor to talk about how boosted you are, man. How you living right now? You back on the show? Your Giants are popping.
Listen, man, it was a good day when we beat Minnesota, man. It's been a long 10 years without a playoff win, so
hey man,
we'll take it, man.
Look,
we'll take it.
I mean, you're your coach, man.
Yeah,
Salute, man.
Dabo came in, and I like the combination between him and Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka coming from the Kansas City tree, and working with Mahomes last year.
Andy Reid, that tree is real. That tree is real, man. That tree is real.
You mixing a little bit of the Buffalo with the Kansas City, two of the most high octane offenses over the course of the last. We just don't have the talent. We don't have the skill positions to match. Like when I think of the Giants against the better teams, I think where our weakness is that we can't go point for point with them. And we also play a very, very risky style of defense, the way we blitz and Wink Martindale. So like you have to be able to compete with them. I mean, some people, I love it until people start gashing us. And it's like, dude.
You know what I say here, man? For this defense, with all the talent it does have, I'm trying to snatch your lunch money. I want that type of defense. Y'all play that defense and want to snatch someone's lunch money. That's the type of defense I want. And y'all playing that stuff.
That we could play Philly. If we could play Philly as tough as we played them in that last game of the season with our backups, we're having our actual starters. I think now we talking about something. So it just depends on how we come out, man. We can't get behind on early downs. And Darius Slayton, please catch the football this weekend. Darius Slayton, please catch the football this weekend.
And I don't think old boy healthy. I don't think Jalen healthy anyway. So
I don't think so. I don't think so either. So
I don't think Jalen healthy. But
We'll
yeah, this
see,
is,
man.
I mean, I'm gonna wish
This-
wish the best of luck, man, for you, man, because you on the show, you fam. What's the best of luck for you to the Giants, man?
I
You know what I'm
need it.
saying? So
I
it's
need
all
it.
gravy, man.
Went
But
from a
anyway, man, this has
rebuild
been
to
a,
a retool.
you know what I'm saying? This has been a dope show. And also shout out to Deron Payne. He's in the Pro Bowl because
Pro Bowl.
Aaron Donald ain't playing. So shout out to him, man. And he getting that bag. So 11
He
and a half
should have made
sacks.
it anyway, though.
I know he should have made it anyway.
Should have made it
Even
anyway.
over Jonathan Allen for real. He should have made
Say
that
it
thing.
again.
Yeah, so but yeah, he getting that bag too. He know it. He on social media talking about it. He about to get that bag. Anyway, this has been a dope show. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Errrything. Also tweet us at ABG_Errrything. And hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything. And like our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything Facebook page. Do not forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold YouTube channel. All Burgundy and Gold Errrything YouTube channel as well. Anyway, this has been a great show. Hey, we missed the homie Glenn, but we always hold it down anyway. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces, hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.
Peace.